everyone, and welcome back to the MLS Now podcast. I'm your host, Russell. You can find me on social media at Mr. Danger Russ. And just a reminder that you can find the podcast on social media at MLS Now Podcast. But most importantly, as always, the podcast is nothing if not for the lovely co-hosts that we have here with us today. However, instead of co-hosts, it's just singular co-host. It's the OG. We're getting back to our roots. The boys are back in town. The band's back together. The band never really was broken up, but the band is now back to its original members. Point being, you can find Gavin on social media at LionsBlog1. Gavin, hello.
Good evening. I just banged my hand into my desk. So if you heard that, I'm sorry. That kind of hurt.
I didn't hear that. But don't do that, Gavin. Professional life advice. Do not hit parts of your body against hard objects.
Thanks. I'll make sure to note that down so it won't happen again.
Yeah, write it down. Go Memento style, right? Get it tattooed onto your body so when you wake up and forget something in the morning because you probably wanged your head on something, and then you can, then you can remember and be like, don't hit body parts on hard objects. Of course.
Yeah.
Hey, some of these matches this weekend made me want to hit my head into some hard objects. I'll tell you that, though.
Probably specifically your match.
No. Well, yes, but no. But yes.
A couple of your matches this week.
Yeah, but no. But yes.
I'll be eager to hear your thoughts on some of the other ones that weren't Cincinnati related. We'll get into it.
Yeah, we will get into it. But Gavin, maybe, before that, hey, it's the international break. And MLS is still going on this weekend.
It's a talking point every international break every year.
Shall we talk on it again?
I don't know what much more to say other than we have a long season, it feels like.
We sure do.
Long season. End of February to playoffs ending in early December. Most of the year there are MLS games. And we still cannot find a way to skip these international breaks. Now, I feel like the last few seasons we've had like maybe only like 4 or 5 games go on instead of the whole slate. Now, this upcoming weekend, pretty much the whole slate is happening, but I feel like the last few seasons they've kind of done that, but not this specific international break. We're going pretty much all out, except for I think there's no Sunday night soccer. There's a 4 p.m. Sunday game, but I don't think there's a Sunday night soccer.
It's a real tragedy, Gavin. Sunday night soccer is a mainstay of American soccer culture, I'll tell you what.
So much history, so much tradition.
Prestigious, historical, well-respected match that people gather around the dinner table for. It is a staple of the American nuclear family.
Unless they are really gonna brand it as
Sunday afternoon
the 4 p.m. Sunday afternoon soccer, 4 p.m. Eastern for a Western Conference game, Austin versus San Diego. Maybe that's Sunday night soccer, but yeah. I mean, I don't have anything else on.
I've frequently said, Gavin, that Sunday afternoon soccer is a storied matchup, a marquee match. Iconic and emblematic of the resilience of the American spirit. So
just what we all need to sit down around the TV, 4 p.m. on a Sunday.
Right. That's right, Gavin. Turn off the world, turn on the game.
What are your thoughts on the international break?
I love that it's a problem for us. I'll say that. You can think back to MLS 5-10 years ago. How many times was the international break a concern? How many teams were like, oh, we're missing all these starters? Like, it's great to have it as a problem.
Yeah, that's fair. It'd be like maybe 1 or 2 DPs were gone. Maybe 1 DP from every team in the Tampa
One
area.
DP from every team. Come on.
Yeah.
You're giving a lot of credit to some very low-spending teams out there.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know, Gavin. I don't like it, but I also at the same time, like, we hate Wednesday matches, right? You and I do not want to go to Wednesday matches. Nobody wants to go to Wednesday matches. Nobody wants to go to Tuesday matches. Weekday matches just aren't well attended. So yeah, I mean, if you're reliant on gate revenue like so many teams are, then you need people to be there on the weekends. You got to play.
Yep. Yep. Hey, it won't be a problem when we move to August to May, right?
Yes, it will.
We'll just move to August to May. We'll align with the European calendar, and when international breaks happen, we'll take a break. And you know what? Maybe in December and January we'll take a 4 week break as well, like the most of the leagues in Germany or in oh my gosh, in Europe do.
Yeah, well, they do need to do that, especially because winter exists and is a thing for many of these teams. So
Once we move to the European calendar, everything will be fixed. MLS will be top two
we
league
may,
in the world.
we may never have a single complaint about this league again.
Yeah, it'll be sunshine and rainbows and fairies and dreamland.
I'm going to tell you right now, Gavin, I'll be cracking a cold one every single day. A Coors Light right there in the stadium. People are going to be like, "Sir, there's not a match today. It's Thursday at 3 p.m. You have to leave." And I'll be like, "Shh. This is my happy place."
You sure you don't want like a hot chocolate or something? It'll be in the middle of winter.
No, Gavin. That would be nonsensical. It's got to be a Coors Light specifically. It's got to be ice cold as well. I need that Coors Light to like have somehow still have condensation coming off of it, despite it being like -3 degrees Fahrenheit. And people are going to be like, "How's that beer even still liquid? Like, are you okay?"
MLS is on the European calendar, baby.
Yeah, be like, "I don't have any complaints in the world now."
Hey, well, anyways, what about internet? Let's stay on the international soccer topic, maybe. Do we want to hit on some of the CONCACAF Champions Cup talking points?
Uh, no,
You're
nothing.
you're just
Nothing makes me
mad your team
happy.
lost.
Oh yeah, no. I think probably the only thing really to note here is just Vancouver, right? I think Vancouver is probably the only thing really worth discussing within the slate because now hear me out on this, right? I think almost everyone would have expected Cruz Azul to win at home.
Yep.
Almost everyone would have expected Tigres to win at home.
Yep.
Almost everyone would have expected LA Galaxy to win at home with concerns about their attack, but being like they're still the better team and it's home slant, so they should be favored. They don't need to win by much to get through.
Yep. And
Now,
then
Monterey
LAFC.
Vancouver
Oh yeah.
is that and LAFC again, home slant in MLS going to Columbus, who are still a competent team, just not as high flying as they were. Like expected there to be goals, expected it to be relatively close. Figured the huge leg up that LAFC got when they were at home was going to see them through relatively easily, and that's exactly what would have happened even without the goal. Okay, back to the thing that's actually really interesting to talk about. Vancouver goes away to Monterey. Everyone and their dogs is putting money on Monterey to win cleanly. And that is not what happens. And not only is that not what happens, Ryan Gauld's not even in this match. Were we
Yeah.
wrong about Vancouver? Is Sorensen a great manager?
I mean, so far he has been. Defensively, they were pretty good in the CONCACAF Champions Cup game. Uh, Offensively, they were efficient in the box. They took their chances. They didn't have a ton of them, but they took their chances in the second half. And they go up to, what was it, 2-1 on the scoreline on the day. And you're like, hold on, wait a second. What's going on here? And all of a sudden they have two away goals, and it's, oh, Monterey need 2 goals to get through. Like once that second away goal went in, it's like, oh my gosh, like this might actually happen. Like when it's 1-1 and it's the same score, it's like, okay, Monterey are probably gonna get through. They're gonna figure this out. Vancouver defensively, they were strong, offensively efficient. They get that second goal, and then they really just needed to close it out. They got a harsh penalty given against them right at the death just to make things interesting. That was really just a Mexican team at home and that little voodoo spell that they have over MLS teams, some random ass thing was going to happen. It did happen. It didn't matter. Vancouver go through on away goals, and they get to celebrate away from home in Mexico, knocking out one of the favorites for this competition. That was just probably such a great moment for Vancouver. I've seen it labeled as one of their best wins ever as a club, and it wasn't even really a win. It was a 2 draws, but to get through against Rayados was extremely impressive.
Agree. Yeah, maybe instead of calling it best win, you could call it best series result.
Yeah.
Yeah. But agree, though. I mean, absolutely nobody could have predicted this result. Except for, someone who was like, yeah, Vancouver, Whitecaps till I die. And then they're, singing from the rooftops like, I told you so. I told you we were going to beat Monterey. And, whew, hey, enjoy it if you're one of those people. I wasn't.
Me neither. Mm-mm. So now they have Pumas next, I believe.
Maybe. Yeah,
I
I'd have
think
to
it's
look at the draw.
Pumas. I'll go pull it up real quick.
You do that. And while you do that, Gavin, we can all sit here and remind ourselves that Miami also played on a different day than everyone else. And it was exactly, I think, what we expected, which is that Miami won away from home in Jamaica. So
Messi got some game time in Kingston, and that's, I think, all that anybody cared about.
Right. Didn't matter how much time he got. I think it was just important that he got some.
Yeah. So it's, Vancouver versus Pumas in the quarterfinal, LAFC versus Inter Miami, Tigres, or LA Galaxy versus Tigres, and Club America versus Cruz Azul. So we're guaranteed one club in the semifinal from MLS.
I'll tell you what, Gavin.
Yeah.
I think there's some easy to call matches in this round. And I look forward to seeing how Vancouver proves me wrong yet again.
I mean, I'm not touching Vancouver, but I would be shocked to see Inter Miami not go through. And then Tigres is probably obvious, and then I couldn't tell you between Club America and Cruz Azul. Probably Club America.
I don't know. I might actually take Cruz Azul.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yes, we will. All right. Gavin, we've talked enough about things outside of MLS, though. It's time for us to do the deed. We need to talk about the weekend, not the artist, not the performer who's currently on a tour across the U.S. right now. No, talking about the weekend of MLS. And you know what, Gavin? Hey, let's start it off with something nice and easy. Let's talk about your guys. It's a 2-2 draw. It's New York Red Bulls 2, Orlando 2. Picking up points. Orlando is on the road. Picking up points on the road is always good. Gavin, this was your match. I will cede the floor to you.
Yeah, this felt like just two pretty good teams going at it. That was my main takeaway. I thought Red Bulls looked good in certain aspects of their play, offensively getting the ball to Choupo-Moting and having him kind of help create and get the ball in behind our left center back and our left back. They really got in down that side a lot, and I think they looked good doing it. For Orlando, we were able to, build up out of the back at times and get in behind as well, once or twice, and create some danger, specifically with our goal, with Ojeda scoring after breaking their initial press. And then in the second half, we changed some things up, and we were really dominant towards the end of the game as well. And so it was two good teams going at it. That was my main takeaway from the match. It was a pretty fun one to watch, all things considered. I think the main thing from an Orlando City perspective is I feel kind of like Portland of last season is Orlando City this season. I was looking at some of the stats to prepare for the episode today, and Orlando City are currently 5th in the league for XG. And I think over 4 games, it's like a decent sample for XG. Not the best, but not the worst. But yeah, the theme is that Orlando City are good offensively and bad defensively. And we are last in the league in expected goals against. And so that feels a little bit like Portland last season, right? Strong offense, they're going to score goals, but they're going to concede goals too. And I don't know if I want to be Portland last season, seeing how their season ended in a dumpster fire mess in the playoffs. So yeah, that was my main takeaway from the match. I don't know if you had anything.
Gavin, I had no takeaways on this match. I love being on the same episode as you because it gives me one match that I can be like, I don't have to pay much attention to this one.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie and say that I'm any different with Cincinnati. I do watch you guys sometimes, but not as much, probably because I need to pay attention to other teams because
That's
I've
right.
got a Russell.
Yeah. Well, it's a real shame that we don't have on Bryce or David or Bo because then we could, not watch plenty of other matches. But
It is what
hey,
it is.
a shame. I'll twist my arm, right? There's, 14 matches that I can watch of MLS. But
Darn.
darn. But
Just quickly, last thing is that we have an article up from Gary recapping the game as well. So make sure to head over to the website to check that out.
perfect. And then, did we have any correspondent corners by chance?
Ooh, I don't think so, unless we got one in at the last second. No correspondent
Okay.
corners from Red Bulls, and I guess I would be the correspondent corner for Orlando City.
And did you correspond with yourself?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, that's good. In that case, then, I think we need to talk about Toronto and Chicago. Gavin, I gotta tell you, the 1 week that I did not bet on Chicago to win is the week they finally do exactly what I expected of them at the start of the season and, get wins. But yeah, I mean, it's a good win. I think it's impressive, especially when you note that they are missing a lot of players. And Toronto, right? Like we say, oh, Toronto, they're in a rough spot this year. They're not having, the best possible time that they could be, but they're still professional players, right? It's not like you can just go in there, pull a Gonzalo Higuain and, run around on the field smoking a cigarette, score a few goals and have no concerns about it. Like, you still have to play competent soccer. And they did. And short-handed, too. So good for them. And more Gutman action. I love seeing Gutman do well with Chicago, man.
Oh yeah, I know you love that player. Yeah, I want to just hit on. We have a correspondent corner from Tim for Chicago, so I just want to hit on Toronto very quickly. To me, this felt like a now or never almost for them to get their first win of the season. Like it's going to come eventually, but this felt like a good opportunity. Kerr scores super early in the game. It's their home opener against. Look, Chicago's probably going to be good this season, but like I don't think they're going to be top of the East good or anything like that. Like I still feel like this is a winnable game for Toronto. And so they go 1-0 up at home in the home opener. And then they let it slip. They let it slip. They give the ball away too easily in midfield. Gutman scores a golazo, and then Chicago just beat them with the ball bouncing weirdly in the box, and Kuipers gets on the end of it into the goal. So like weird things happen, but this felt like the moment. I mean, I was looking at Toronto's next four matches, and I think you kind of read this out maybe last episode or maybe it was a different team. But their next four matches are away to Red Bulls, home to Vancouver, away to Miami, home to Minnesota. I'm sorry, I don't see a win out of those four games. I don't see it. Where does it come from? I don't
Not
know.
those four.
Yeah, I would be shocked to see Toronto get a win in any of those. A draw, maybe a couple draws, sure. I don't see a victory, and that's really, really concerning for Toronto.
Could Toronto go like fewer than 5 wins on the season?
I mean, it's a long season, and they do
It's a
have Bernadeschi quality. Like that's game-winning quality. But five. That's crazy. That I'm not 100% saying five is a yes. I can't even believe that. What did San Jose get last year?
It wasn't many.
It was like 6. San Jose got 6. Yes, it was 6 wins last season. Chicago got 7 last season, but finished bottom of the East. So I think they just about beat 5.
So if I set the over under at 5.5, what are you taking?
Under the over. They get 6.
Okay. All right. Well,
Wow.
someone bookmark this episode. We'll see.
All right, I'll get in the correspondent corner. We'll move on to the next game. So
yeah, what's Tim got to say?
Yeah, Tim Sing Electric. He says the Fire have back-to-back road wins for the first time since 2023 and back-to-back comeback road wins for the first time since 2012 after their 2-1 win over Toronto FC, spoiling the home opener in Hogtown. Despite their dismal record, Toronto took the game to the Fire in the early going and soon were up a goal until Andrew Gutman scored a screamer from outside the box to equalize in the 29th minute. His strong performance earned Andrew Gutman Team of the Match Day honors, the 4th consecutive match day with a Fire member represented in the 11. It's kind of cool. Gutman was one of 5 Academy products in the Fire's starting 11, a record for the team. One standout from that group was Sergio Orejel Jr., who has improved massively game on game for 4 weeks in a row and had everything but a goal with a shot that was tipped by Sean Johnson to the post and out and set up Hugo Kuipers with a glorious opportunity that the Belgians sent just wide. The team has little time to rest on their laurels. The team travels to Vancouver next to face the Whitecaps and their perfect record and set up a father and son reunion for Greg and Sebastian Berhalter. Very good.
Excellent. I think I might actually fancy taking Chicago in that one. Vancouver's going to be missing players. They're going to be missing Brian White, I think got called up.
Yep.
Missing Ryan Gauld.
If Vancouver come through that, I'd be insane.
Give Sorensen Coach of the Year.
Yeah. If Vancouver...
No joke. I think he could be a contender for Coach of the Year. Like, Coach of the Year has got to make more than the sum of the parts for their squad. And Ryan Gauld out is a huge subtraction from your squad. And they're still winning.
So far? Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, he's definitely an early contender.
All right, well, hey, let's go on here. We're going to keep it moving. We're going to talk about LAFC versus Austin. It was another Saturday match. It was an early one, believe it or not, which really confused the daylights out of me because I was thinking about this being in LA and I was like, wait a second, they're 3 hours ahead of Eastern time and this is like a 4:30 kickoff. Like, this is a 1:30 kickoff? Like, what?
It wasn't even 4:30. I'm pretty sure it was 3:45. It overlapped with the 2:30 games.
What was the point of this?
I get the Toronto
match too, for this matter, because
so the main thing, I wrote down 2 things for this match. Okay, one is personally, I think no one saw this coming. I think LAFC, with their struggles this season, are still favorites to win at home against a team like Austin, who offensively haven't been great this season. Defensively have been pretty good, but they haven't shown a lot this season that they have the capability to go away against one of the better teams in the league and win, let alone draw. But instead, what happened is Austin do win on the road. And to me, I feel like Austin did to LAFC what LAFC have been doing to many other teams late last season and early this season. They sit deep. The other team has a lot of the ball. They may even dominate a little bit. And LAFC can't get out. And then they get a random goal. Somehow, some way. Think of that Hollingshead goal. Think of that Abobase goal earlier this season. And those 1-0s. Like, LAFC just figure out a way to win. And in this one, it was Austin's turn. The variance went towards the away team in this one. They get the goal off the corner. It sneaks past Hugo Lloris. They sit in, they defend, they get the goal. Or they get the win. So to me, this just felt like a very typical LAFC game. Just in this one, the bounce didn't go their way. It went Austin's way.
Interesting, because when we talked prior to recording, You mentioned a few matches that you were surprised with the results of, and I got most of them pretty easily. And this one stumped me because, and you mentioned it, LAFC have struggled this year. And I mean, for that matter, since bringing in Giroud and trying to integrate him, they've struggled last year as well. So I I would agree they're likely favored, but I wouldn't say they're not a lock for me anymore. And I think that's the interesting like backslide for me. Because in prior years, right, you look at LAFC and you're like, oh, they're a lock. LAFC playing at home, lock it in. That's probably like a 50-60% chance of a win. Win or draw is maybe 80%. Lock it in. Not a lock this year.
So yeah, so it took me to this game, seeing this game and how it played out. That for me is what removes that lock tag for them. For me, going into this, I thought LAFC were going to figure out a way to win because that's what they always do. That didn't happen this time.
It didn't happen this time. And okay, hold on. I'm gonna pull up, right? Since the season started, a 1-0 win over Minnesota, a 1-0 win over Colorado, a 1-0 win over New York City FC, a 5-2 loss to Seattle, and then a 0-1 loss to Austin. That Seattle loss, right? Take it as an outlier, but what stands out to me here is look at these, they're all regular season matches, and LAFC has been low scoring. Like they're playing they're playing marginal football, right? Where great, you can't possibly sustain 1-0 wins.
No,
And
because then you're going to have them
yeah.
go against you, like this one did, and that's what they're going to have to learn. We'll see what they do.
Can they score multiple goals though? Like
Not with
it's
the
been a
system.
pattern.
Not
Yeah.
with this system. They need to totally change their system. I don't know what they were thinking. It wasn't great towards the end of last season. I remember talking about how they would sit deep like they are now and counter, and it was working at the time, but not great. And when you have Bouanga, Giroud, Under, Abobase up top, David Martinez, like you should be leaning on those guys to score you buckets of goals. Like lean into your attack, not lean into your defense. Use your defense to support and like bail out your attack when they're not having their best game. But those guys are going to score you loads and loads of goals if you set up your system to get them those chances. And this system isn't creating enough chances for them. It's a problem.
Yeah. Nor is it creating chances of the right type or quality, i.e., and I hate that we keep coming back to it, i.e., Giroud. You and I have watched so much Olivier Giroud. We know the types of chances that he converts. They haven't made any of those.
None of them. Yeah. So we all know the problem, except one man can fix it, and he's not going to. It seems like.
Yeah. Stevie C.
Do you think his job will be at threat if it goes on like this for another couple of months?
Nope. Not a chance.
That feels kind of crazy.
I feel, and hear me out on this, Gavin. How many competitions has he gotten LAFC deep into? He, for better or worse, is going to be able to use it's too many matches in too short of a time. It's too much schedule congestion. Or he's going to be able to say, my system's clearly working. We're getting to these finals. It's just we don't have the execution or the quality. And he can keep saying, we need better players. We need ownership to spend and, go get these guys who are in their prime. I need more Buwangas. I need fewer Girouds. Like, he's going to have excuses, and they're going to be excuses that largely make sense, especially for someone who has got to 5 cup finals across all competitions in a relatively short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, he's had success. Just recently, this new tactical change has been, I think, a failure of an experiment.
I agree with you, I think he's going to find a way to hand wave it away.
Yeah, probably.
And the rest of the Western Conference should love that.
Hey, just quickly, Austin win this game, and we spent most of it talking LAFC. I think I do want to praise them that defensively they've looked better this season because the
Mm-hmm.
defense has been a problem for them in their entire existence as a club. So I think some of the defensive changes that Estevez has implemented are working. We need to see a little bit more ruthlessness in the final third from Brandon Vasquez and Uzuni. Too many missed chances already from Uzuni, and it's making me think, is he actually going to be a star forward for Austin FC? Because he's missing some sitters. I mean, a couple of them, they've been like headers that he's missed, but there's been a couple as well where it's like, you got to put that in the back of the net, man. Like, what's going on? So the offensive efficiency has me concerned for Austin.
It should have you concerned, Gavin. I mean, again, using the schedule, they almost have, in my mind, an identical problem to LAFC because here's their regular season results. A 1-0 win against Kansas City. That's a red flag right there, for one.
Yep.
It's only a 1-0 win against Kansas City, but a 1-0 loss to Portland, a 1-0 loss to Colorado, and then a 1-0 win against LAFC. 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. Like, again, 6 points is probably statistically right about where they should be. Because if you are playing a style of play where there's only going to be one goal, you're never going to be at the top of the table, but you're going to be better than a lot of teams.
Yep. It's a good start. I'm eager to see how they build from here. But it's a big win for them. It's a huge win for them. So props.
I mean, any win on the road is always a huge win.
Well, Chicago over Toronto is a good win. Austin over LAFC is a huge win. There's tiers.
Yeah, there's levels to it.
There's
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, there's levels. Tier maker of away wins.
All right. Yeah. All right. Any correspondent corners on either of those before we move on?
No, we can move on.
Okay, let's move on. Charlotte 2, Cincinnati 0. For some reason, people really thought that this was going to be a Cincinnati win, and it screamed Cincinnati loss to me from afar. Very fun fact, right? Cincinnati's never won away in Charlotte. Didn't change this week either. Don't know what it is. Cincinnati never plays well in Charlotte. They just don't. And on top of that, I mean, Cincinnati did not look threatening at all in any way, shape, or form. Like, I don't know if it's that these guys need more time together in the preseason. I don't know if maybe the system that is set up right now for Denke and Evander just isn't working, but the league matches just don't seem to be creating that dynamic interaction that so many people were expecting to see at the start of the season. So I think it should be some very minor alarm bells for Cincinnati folk. And I think maybe what do you think? Some minor alarm bells just regarding Zaha. Like, has he been what we thought he was going to be? Because he's good, right? Like, not to be like, oh, he's a flop, terrible signing, right? But we talk about how Charlotte's like, oh, they need their attacker, they need their star player, and it's like, he's a good attacker. I don't think he's the attacking star. Like, he's almost like a champagne type player in Charlotte's system. And it's like, as long as someone else exists to take the pressure off, then Zaha will thrive. So I am a little bearish on Zaha for long term across the whole season. I think teams will start to figure him out.
Yeah, he kind of feels like, and apologies for the listeners because I'm going to call back to an Orlando City thing, but it feels like Luis Nani in Orlando. Luis Nani was always the second guy, kind of like what you're talking about. And he comes to Orlando and he was the guy, and he couldn't quite take us over the edge. Like we had him for a couple seasons. We didn't make the playoffs. I think we may have made the playoffs with him one year, right at the end of his stint with Orlando. But he was okay. He got us a few goals a season. He got us some crazy moments because he had such high quality, but he wasn't like insane. And I think with Zaha, my expectations were he's going to come in, he's going to be a creative outlet, but he's not going to set the league on fire. I think he's just going to be a high quality attacking option, one of the better left wingers in the league. But I didn't think his output was going to be like 20 goals and 15 assists or something insane like that. I just thought he was going to be a really good option for Charlotte to have as a starter on the left. He's a DP quality left winger. And so I'm not too concerned. It's still early. Just had a baby. Like, we know how that impacts humans. And so I think it's just we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, teams are going to be focused on him. So it's kind of up to the other players to take advantage of the spaces that him being on the pitch gives them. And I think that's been the problem for Charlotte this season is they haven't really done that a ton. And in this game, it felt a little bit more that that supporting cast of players stepped up. They made those runs, they got in behind, and they finished those chances. Ajimang in particular, I've been pretty low on him this season, but he played well in this game. He got his goal, and then Abada got his goal as well in this game. So yeah, I think for Zaha, it's all about, yes, him, but he's going to need some help from the other attackers as well. Can't all just be him.
Yeah. And just for some context here, I pulled up Charlotte's scoring summary. Charlotte has 5 players, each with 1 goal. Nobody with 2. So Abada, Ajimang, Pep Biel, Malanda, Zaha, all with a goal. Which, again, spreading the love around, right? But if you're going to be those top teams, like, you need a guy who can be a 15-goal scorer, at least.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think that's what everyone thinks Ajimang will be. I'm not sure if he gets to 15. I'm not sure. Just
he's
quick
not
little
pace for it.
No, quick little fun fact that I saw going around Twitter today. This 4-game start for Charlotte is the best start in their club history.
Now, I 100% believe that.
Very short club history, but it is the best start in club history.
Yeah, I believe that. I don't know, I'm looking at it, right? You've got draw against Seattle, which is to start the season. That's respectable. Win against Atlanta. In hindsight, looks quite good. It looked good then, might look even better as we see their attack gel even more. Lost to Miami. No one's saying fire a head coach for losing to Miami. Like, most people, I think, are like, Miami should win every match. Win over Cincinnati. 7 points in 4. Solid.
Not much
and they've
more
got San Jose next. So, and they're at home again. So I might favor them at home again over San Jose, so they could be on 2 points per game, sitting on 10 points in 5. It's a good start.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. Hey, I don't think we have any correspondent corners, so I'm going to move us on to a match that we're not going to talk much about. DC United versus Montreal. It's a 0-0 draw. I think DC is going to be feeling like this is the draw that's a loss for DC.
I think so. Yeah. My main takeaway from this match, my learning, was that DC are just one playmaker short. I think the team is relatively good. I think that they are competitive. They have, in my opinion, the best striker in MLS in Benteke. And they have a system that feeds him through crosses and long, straight balls straight to him. And he just does his magic. And if they could just get someone to play off of him, like anticipate those knockdowns and be able to create for the other players around Benteke as well, like, they would be a tough team to play, and they would win a lot of games, I think. And they're just missing that one player. I know they have DP spots open, I believe. Well, I thought they did, but maybe they don't. because
because
they're
they are
Cliche.
subsidizing a DP spot for Atlanta.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about Cliche. I'll have to look at the roster breakdown, but if they have a DP spot open, this summer would be the summer to get that guy in. It's a huge gap in the team. Pirani is not filling it. He missed a big chance in this game, and I think if they could get a serious player in that position, they could be really, really good.
Agree. Agree. On the Montreal side, it's gonna be a long season for Montreal. I don't know. I don't know if I have a whole lot of good to say about them right now. Do you have anything positive? Or do you just want to like silently move on and hope that, people don't be like, hey, there's good.
Sometimes a 0-0 is a positive on the road, and sometimes you just get out of there and you get lucky. And I think that's the latter with this one. Again, DC missed chances. Soroy, the goalkeeper, had a really good game, I thought. He made a couple of really important saves. DC got a goal called back because of a handball on Benteke. So like I think Montreal are just a bad team right now, and we all expected that going into the season. So unfortunately, they're kind of living up to expectations.
Yeah. Well, and side note, right? We're still talking about Montreal. Side note that they continue to be on the road for 3 more weekends.
That's fair, and they have had their injury issues. Uh,
Hmm.
I
But
don't see the people.
even once they get home, though, like their first home match is against Charlotte. I don't think they're going to beat Charlotte. And then their next home match is against Orlando. Like, Gavin, I apologize, but I think they could draw Orlando.
Probably, yeah, probably. Hey, I just checked. DCs have Benteke as a DP and Klitsch as a DP. Pirani is a U22 with Kim Jun Hong, their goalkeeper. So they have a DP spot open. DC United, go get that DP.
Yeah. Toronto, April 30th, 2025. Montreal is at Toronto. I think that is the first match that I look at and say, you must win this one. And it's on the road, but like,
Yeah, yikes. It's a tough
oof,
start. Tough start to the
tough
season for
start.
them.
Tough start. Yep. Okay. Well, hey, let's move on then. We're going to talk about New York City FC scoring 3 goals. They won 2-1. New England, their first goal scorer of the year is own goal. It's Thiago Martins scoring in his own net to initially give New England the lead, and then NYCFC claws it back and says, no, 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 no. No, no joy for you, New England. Yeah, I hate that I don't have much to say about it. It's New England. They're not a good team. Porter's not the answer. I don't think the players think Porter's the answer. They don't look good.
No, it's just a mess up there. We have two corresponding corners. I think we just start with that. Really, we'll
Yeah,
start with New
hit me
England
with
since
them.
that's where you went first. Matt Glenn, God bless his soul. I feel so bad for him. From the New England side, we love you, Matt. He says New England Revolution are still winless and officially speaking goalless on the season. There were some strong moments against NYCFC, and NYCFC's own goal was a direct result of a strong delivery into the box from Revs veteran Brandon Bai, but there is no joy in Mudville right now. Rumors of Carlos Hill's dissatisfaction abound, and fans are starting to wonder what the long game even is here, with the rejuvenation of the strong, though admittedly imperfect program that Bruce Arena left behind. We'll have to wait 2 weeks to see what happens in Foxborough when they face the Red Bulls on the afternoon of the 29th.
Yeesh.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe a couple weeks off, maybe a week off is just what this team needs. Just a reset button. Like everyone
I'll tell you
just,
what this team needs. This
well,
team needs a new head coach.
we know that, but maybe with this head coach, this reset button can be helpful for them, and they can change some things up based on their learnings from the first few weeks. And maybe they shock us all against the Red Bulls on the 29th. No hope.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
I just the Carlos Gil piece,
Yeah.
like that's a player that, much like Acosta, he can have moments of magic where he can go win you a match on his own. And if he's checked out, your season's done.
He's their best player.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, if you're the ownership and your best player, who good luck replacing him, is like, I don't like this coach, I don't like it here right now, make a decision. Mm-mm. You get rid of that coach.
Easier to get rid of a coach than to get rid of the players.
Your best player, no less.
Yeah. Hey, fun fact about New England Revolution this season.
Yeah.
They have 5 shots on target through 4 games.
That's terrible. That's not fun at all, Gavin. That's a disappointing fact about New England Revolution. Yeah. It's fun if you are a sports bettor who's going to take the under 1.5 on shots on target for New England Revolution, though.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, let's get on to NYCFC from Beyond the Smokestacks podcast. 10 years to the day of their inaugural home opener against this same Revolution team produced some memorable goals. NYCFC managed to score all 3 goals in a 2-1 win at Yankee Stadium to improve to 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw in 2025. Alonso Martinez picks up where he left off in 2024. Is a very good sign if NYCFC have aspirations of making it back to Eastern Conference semifinal or further. Big test this weekend against an undefeated Crew team in Ohio without Martinez, who will be on international duty for Costa Rica. Alonso Martinez has been fantastic this season. I think that's a good call out by Joe.
Yeah. They're going to have their work cut out for him against Columbus as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And look, we're going to talk about Columbus later on, but their season and seeing them still get results after selling off all these players reaffirms that I think Nancy might be still the best coach in the league.
He for sure is. I have no doubt that Wilfred Nancy is the best coach in MLS currently.
So anyways, well, that'll be an interesting one to watch, just for the record. But that said, Gavin, I want to talk about this next match so freaking bad. Sporting Kansas City 3, Minnesota 3. They did the unthinkable. They did the Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl version of soccer. They blew a 3-goal lead, and they blew that 3-goal lead in 10 minutes. How do you do it? If I'm Eric Ramsey, right? If I'm their coach, I'm sitting there, doing my best impression of, Pep Guardiola, clawing my head in frustration and anger. Like, that is horrific. You cannot give up a 3-0 lead. Not that late. Not in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with the good, right? Minnesota were comfortable in this game. They were sitting deep. SKC weren't threatening at all. They go up the field. They score one of the best goals that you will see this season. I feel like I say that every week, though, from Hassani Dotson with that volley. Oh, such a good goal. 1-0. They're feeling good. 2-0, another breakaway goal. They've done it a couple times this season already, which this is their identity. Minnesota United have perfected this style of play, I feel like, under Eric Ramsey. And 2-0. They're feeling good. They're feeling great. And then they start the second half, and like within 10 seconds, 11 seconds, SKC started with the ball. They give it away. Minnesota United transition and score 3-0. I wonder if it was just like, oh, this is easy, we're fine. And I feel like they must have gotten just a little too comfortable. I will say, like, the goals that SKC scored were just kind of like the own goal, especially. Like, it just bounced for them. Like 3-1, okay, that can happen. But the second one going in, the own goal, I think that's the one that just like SKC was like, oh, we can do something here. We can get this back. And then at that point, it's just, momentum, and Minnesota are sitting back trying to protect what they have at 3-2, because they still had opportunities after 3-0 to make it 4. But just SKC got that one, and for me, it's the own goal. The own goal, the second goal, just completely changed the narrative of this game, and Minnesota were sitting deep. And sometimes when you sit deep, the ball goes in the back of your net. Weird bounces. Things happen. But yeah, it was crazy.
Things happen. I don't know, man. That's look, when you give up a goal 3-1, okay. When you give up that own goal and you're 3-2, coach should be out there screaming at players and getting them back into this match. Because those two goals were close enough together that tells me that's mentally shutting off.
I mean, even the third goal, talk about shutting off. They win the ball back in their half, and then they just give it away super cheaply. Like, they had the ball for a second. One of the players tries to do a little trick on the edge of his box. Just kick it out. Just clear it. And, maybe that's the instruction from the coach, but I doubt it was the instruction at that moment. It probably was like, guys, focus. Stay calm. Like you were saying. And they did the complete opposite. So, yeah, kudos to SKC for getting this one back. Maybe this is exactly what they needed to kickstart their season. But this one just felt more like Minnesota letting this drop versus SKC, like, really turning this game around.
Yeah, I think that's a really good descriptor of it, and it harkens back to when we would talk in previous seasons of MLS, and it's like, was it that Columbus was the better team, or was it that San Jose was a bad team in some of these losses? And this feels like another one of those instances of, was it that SKC had a really good tactical vision, or was it that Minnesota really let off the gas and it came back to bite?
I mean, Ramsey did make some early subs. He took off Ndembe, and he took off Tommy. Or no, sorry, my bad. He took off, who was it? Pereira and Oluwaseyi. That's who it was. He took them off in the 64th minute. And
it all fell apart.
Who came on for them? Diaz and Sonbin Jeong. And I'm not saying that directly impacted them. Like they were the reason that they tied this game, but it just felt a little bit like that hindered them. Like, whatever those two players were doing, Pereira and Oluwaseyi, they lost that pressing, that quality to keep the ball. Just that little bit, that quality in the final third, and yeah, it hurt them big time, I think.
That's on the coach then, because I said the
felt a
exact
little
same
too
thing.
Early.
I said the exact same thing last week when Cincinnati made the substitutions that they did, and it's like those substitutions that Cincinnati made against Tigres, like that lost them the game against Tigres because they were in it, they were competitive, they were competent, and the subs were poorly timed and not selected well. Yeah, I pinned this one on Ramsey then. Sorry, bud. You're up 3-0. You should win. It's the rules.
Yeah, looking back, I was like, ooh, did you need to do that early? Like, you need to... I don't think you did. So, yeah.
And if you did need to do it then, it's on you to make sure that the players subbing in recognize what the pattern of play is and how to continue holding up the pattern of play that has helped you succeed.
Yep. Hey,
that's why you get paid.
Last thing. Coming on with the theme of tonight's episode. To me, again, no one saw this coming. I'm going to say it. Second time.
I didn't see SKC scoring more than one goal. That's for sure.
Me neither.
Yeah, considering again, we're going to go back to the drawing board on this one. Across all competitions, 0-1 Miami, 0-1 Austin, 3-1 Miami, 2-1 San Jose, 2-1 DC United. SKC has not scored a 2-goal match all season until now.
Yeah, Miami or oh my gosh, Minnesota definitely. They definitely switched off for sure.
Yeah. Do we have any correspondent corners on these?
No, but we do have on the next one, so maybe we can start with it. It's a pretty long one too.
Hit me with the super long correspondent corner after I remind you that this is Dallas 0, Vancouver Whitecaps 1.
Dallas, Vancouver. No,
Yeah,
I was thinking of a different match.
Incorrect.
No correspondent corner on this one.
Okay, let's talk about it. Is Sorensen the best coach in MLS right now?
No, because it's Wilfried Nancy.
Right, okay. Is Sorensen a front runner for Coach of the Year right now?
Yeah, like we said earlier, yes. Sorensen's been fantastic. He has gotten the best out of this group of players. He's gotten, Jaden Nelson to play well, Ngando to play well, Pedro Vite, he's unlocked him. Brian White seems like he's unlocked a new level, and all mostly without, Ryan Gauld, as everyone keeps talking about. I think the most impressive aspect, though, is defensively. They have been solid. I think they've given up, I want to say it's either the lowest amount of shots against in the league or like the lowest XG against, which kind of those two go hand in hand. But like defensively, they've been resolute all season. So I think that's been really impressive, and that's given them the platform to go and get these types of scrappy wins, like away against Dallas, a decent Dallas team. Maybe throughout the season we'll see that this is a bad Dallas team, but I think at the moment we all still think like Dallas is probably fringe playoffs. So it's a good win.
I agree with that assessment. And I want to just say, like, the biggest difference between this Vancouver side right now for me and Vancouver last year is how they see out matches. How many times last year was Vancouver in a position where you're like, oh, like, you should get a result from this? And they snatch either, a draw from the jaws of victory, or a defeat from the jaws of a draw, or sometimes from a victory. Much like Columbus last year, dropped points when they were leading was brutal for Vancouver.
Yeah, definitely. It helps when I just found the stat. They have given up, tied with San Diego, the lowest amount of shots against thus far through 4 games. 28 shots against in 4 games. 7 per game. Do the quick math. Yeah. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I'll tell you what, they're doing even better because they're actually scoring as compared to San Diego.
Very fair. Yes. Yeah. So, that's been a big change for Vancouver from last season to this season. And I think it's just a reminder to teams that there are good coaches out there. And even if your coach is doing a decent job, like, you can upgrade on them. You just have to find the right guy that fits your system, your players, your club. It's a very hard thing to get right, but if you do get it right, it can really move you into a good position in this league very quickly.
Yeah, that's very well said, Gavin. Unless you have hired Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola or who is it, Xabi Alonso, who led a team to
Leverkusen.
an undefeated season. Like, unless your coach is one of those like world-renowned names, you can upgrade.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. Any correspondent corners on Dallas, Vancouver?
No correspondent corners, and to be honest, I don't have much on Dallas side either.
And I don't have much for them on this match. I think your assessment of fringe playoff team is probably about accurate. I think we're going to start to see, and I saw a little bit more interplay between Acosta and other players, like, and it's a good and a bad thing, because we saw this with Cincinnati as well. Players are starting to look for Acosta on the passes, which when you start looking for Acosta and making him the guy, who you're going to run plays through, you can have really beautiful moments of magic. You can also start to get pigeonholed into playing only one style of soccer, and it becomes a little too easy to, game plan for a team. So we'll see how Dallas does through the next couple weeks on that, but just something to keep your eyes out for.
Agreed.
All right. Now we're going to go to a match that I'm sure you thought I was going to say. It's Houston versus Real Salt Lake. Houston 1, Real Salt Lake 2. I'll tell you right now, Gavin, I stayed very far away from this match as well. I was convinced that this was going to be a 0-0 draw going into the weekend.
I didn't know what was going to happen with this match. I had no idea. Could Houston pull out a win against a struggling RSL? Could RSL pull off a win against a struggling Houston? Could it be boring? Could it be crazy? I think this match could have gone any which way.
Agree. Yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't know if I have a lot to take away from this match other than maybe on Diego Luna, who continues to look really good. I'll take Gavin. Does Diego Luna start with RSL next year?
Like, does he stay in the league, you mean? Or
he might stay in the league, but is he staying with RSL? Next year, is he playing with them?
If he's in the league, he's staying at RSL. I don't foresee someone buying him off of RSL within MLS. I feel like it'd have to be a crazy offer. I guess what would you, if you're RSL, let's play this out.
Mm-hmm.
What would be a number for you that would say, yeah, I'm willing to sell Diego Luna to another MLS team?
I would say 12 to 18 million.
That's kind of where I was hovering. I was hovering around like 14, 15. Like when you get into that range, like you got to accept that offer.
Mm-hmm.
Who in MLS is DPing Diego Luna and spending that much on Diego Luna?
I don't know yet. Toronto, maybe. I mean, Toronto has the money to burn. They've shown that they are willing to throw money in a fire for players who are past it, and Diego Luna is anything but past it. So, like, shoot, Toronto might go onto the upper end of that. They might even go above it.
That's the fun thing with this new mechanism is we finally get to see big moves within the league. We get to keep the talent within the league. So I think that's big. And since Diego Luna isn't a DP, RSL would get the 3 million GAM as well.
Well, I think they would get the 3 million no matter what, even if he was a DP.
No, there's a new rule that if you sell a DP, you don't get the 3 million GAM.
It's outside the league. You don't get the 3 million GAM.
Oh, it's outside the league. Okay.
Because Cincinnati got the 3 million GAM from Acosta, who was a DP. Because he was inside the league.
Gotcha. So they're really just pushing to keep DPs in the league.
They're really pushing to keep DPs in the league.
You know, the not smart thing about that is what if the DP sucks? Then you want to get them out of the league.
Yeah, done. I don't know why, Toronto didn't just buy out Insigne. Like, they're paying him anyways to stay there. Like, they decide apparently it's like, oh, well, we're going to get you to another team. And he's like, no, I want to stay in Toronto. And it's like, if you're going to either not play the man and still pay him, or you can pay him to go away forever, like, you may as well just pay him to go away forever then.
Yeah, literally.
Like, if you're not going to play him, free up the roster spot then.
We did have a correspondent corner on this match. It's not long. I was still thinking of a different match. But this is from Mike.
I knew it.
Mike from RSL. It's a short one, though.
Mike from San Diego, you mean?
No. Well, from San Diego.
Yes.
But RSL correspondent. He says, Diego Luna is sensational. When he's on, he's the best player on the field and can make up for any shortcomings RSL has elsewhere, as we saw in this match. So, And that's it. That's all he has.
That's all that needs to be said.
Yep. Diego Luna.
Yeah. Short and sweet.
Okay.
Moving on. Now, Gavin, surely this time it's the match that you thought I was going to say. St. Louis 1, Seattle 0.
Bingo.
First try. Only try that matters is the one you get right, Gavin.
Yeah. St. Louis eke out a 1-0 win. So let me get to this correspondent corner from Tyler Sant. STL Footy. This is for St. Louis. He says, such a mature performance by St. Louis City. Much was made of Berkey's heroics on Sunday in Los Angeles, only for it to be revealed through the starting lineup announcement that he would be out due to a hand fracture, which will sideline him for 4 to 6 weeks. But Lunt and Hartle did a great job stepping in respectively into the goalkeeper and captain roles, with one owning the box and the other keeping in the ref's ear during a trying performance by the officiating crew. Henry Kessler once again spearheaded a back line that left Jesus Ferreira frustrated and totally ineffective. Akil Watts continues to impress, and while I don't take back any critiques I had last season, I fully embrace the player he's evolved into. He's gone from liability to rotation piece to asset in a very short order. After Lewin's early goal, capitalizing on Jackson Reagan's admittedly smart handball, Melberg's defensive tendencies came out in full force as the team parked the bus for a full 75 minutes. What resulted was a masterclass in low possession, as Seattle owned 65% of the ball but only registered one more shot and 4 fewer on goal than St. Louis. As of today, St. Louis's biggest enemy is itself. Offensive production needs to improve. 4 goals in 4 matches isn't great. Injuries are scary. Berkey out for the next month will be a test, and while we wait for news on Totland, the right wing-back slot is a bit up in the air. Right now, we're all hoping no news is good news. But after the last 2 matches, the vibe should be good. This team is playing a sustainable style of soccer. Each position appears to have solid depth, and the discipline is there to power through wobbles when they come this season.
Interesting takes.
Yeah. I don't see anything there that I largely disagree with. Did you have anything?
No, I'm not sure how sustainable parking the bus for 75 minutes is, though, at 1-up.
That's kind of where I was going. I agree with the offense being a problem, and I also agree with you that it's unsustainable to sit that deep for that long.
Right.
Match in, match out.
Now, I will say, clearly something they're doing is working because it's 4 straight clean sheets for St. Louis.
Yes.
They have yet to allow a goal this season, which is bonkers. How many teams allow 0 goals through 4 matches?
Not a lot, because I think you just need some luck, honestly. Like, you need poor finishing, and you need some great goalkeeper play, and you need some strong defending. You need a lot to go your way, and all of it has gone their way this season.
Interestingly enough, I'm looking at who they've played, right? And you talked about you need poor finishing to go your way. They've played against Seattle, who've struggled to finish, Galaxy, who have struggled to finish, San Diego, who have struggled to finish, and Colorado, who are kind of in a weird spot. And I think that one might have been more of the luck side.
Yeah, I think I know for a fact in the in the LA Galaxy game, there was some really poor finishing on display. So that was where I think the luck came in. And San Diego, I think, as well, just attacking-wise, poor attacking quality. They probably should have had a goal, but just didn't. So, yeah, overall, I think it's going well. Like you said, 4 clean sheets for St. Louis. It's just...
Yeah, hard to argue with the results.
How sustainable is it? I think that's the main question that you and I are having.
I think it's more sustainable than what they were doing under Carnell.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
I mean, and case in point, right? I love that the upcoming match for St. Louis is away in Philadelphia, where they will go up against Carnell. And we can really see, like, was it a blip against Nashville? Or are Philadelphia going to start to flag? Because Carnell's sides historically have started really, really strong. And they start to flag a little bit. So we'll see. That'll be a curious one to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, for sure.
But now, again, I'm playing my own devil's advocate. St. Louis did score 0 against Colorado, 0 against San Diego, and 1 against Seattle. So somewhat on the margins as well.
Yep. Yeah.
Doesn't take much. does not take much.
We're definitely going to learn a lot next week for sure. Across the league, obviously.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. It'll be very interesting. Seattle. What to do about Seattle?
It was a brutal midweek. Brutal
Yeah,
midweek.
I
Not
don't know how to feel about Seattle.
not just the loss too, right? Like
Yeah,
the
loss,
players they
injuries.
lost.
Yeah,
I mean, they go from one of the deepest teams in the league to oh,
injury crisis.
injury crisis, and this is why you need to be deep in this league.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
the crazy thing is, it's not like you get 4 injuries and it's like, okay, now you're done. Like, we've seen it happen to teams in the past. Like, look at FC Cincinnati. FC Cincinnati last year was praised as having one of the deepest, best defenses in the league. The season-ending injury. Hagland, season-ending injury. Robinson out for international duty. Went from going to be the best defense in the league to how are they going to keep the ball out of the net?
right. All hands on defensive
Yeah.
deck.
And that wasn't a short period of time. It's not like this was across the span of a season. Like,
No, it can happen very quick. I mean, when you have your totem poles at the back, right? You have your guys. One of them goes down, you're bringing somebody else in, and they're not used to being there game in, game out, all 90 minutes at that high intensity, and you have to have quality for all 90 minutes. And then you have to prepare, repeat, prepare, repeat, prepare, repeat. And then you're overdoing it on those guys because instead of having a rotation piece back there, you only have one piece back there. So then maybe that guy breaks down a bit and he needs a break. Like that's why we have these rosters trying to be so deep is because they want those replacements. And Seattle, I mean, we all said that they did it right, and it's just been unlucky. They lose Areola. If you didn't see the news, he's out for the season.
yep,
He's
another ACL.
Yep, he's gone.
He's done them both
ACL.
now. He's done left and right ACL.
Yep. Jordan Morris went down with hamstring, so hopefully it's not too bad, but he'll be out for the next few weeks minimum.
Yep.
And
Pedro de la
then
Vega.
De La Vega's struggled with injuries his whole time in Seattle and pre-Seattle, so this is nothing new. And so all of a sudden, you're attacking quality, DP level players aren't available, and you're leaning on yet again Rothrock. You're leaning on Manungo. Luckily, this time they have Ferreira, but we saw with Ferreira in Dallas that he's good in stretches. He's a very streaky player, and so all of a sudden, like you're hoping that this streaky player hits his hot streak now without any high level quality around him. He has quality around him for sure, but he doesn't have the best of the best on the team around him. And so now he needs to be the guy along with Manungo and Rusnak. And I just don't have confidence that he's going to do it consistently.
Especially because he's been playing more of the role similar to Rusnak than playing a striker type attacking role. Like, how many times do you recall watching Jesus Ferreira, seeing him receive the ball and play a pass, and then you stop and you recognize where he's standing on the field, and it's nowhere near the box?
All too often, I don't know why he's so deep. It feels like he's gotten in his head that oh no, I'm a false nine, so that's who I am. Like that's his identity now. Like I feel like when he first broke through at Dallas, when people thought he was going to be the next big sale out of MLS, that he was he was playing more as a regular striker, and that's when he was scoring goals and like lighting up the league. And now, yeah, he's doing that drop in deep, pass the ball, facilitate, and he's just gone downhill as a player since that new identity has formed. It's been disappointing.
Yeah, it's not been great, that's for sure. So All right, well, I'm going to move us on because we still have 5 matches to cover, Gavin. So, San Diego won, Columbus Crew won. I think San Diego probably feels like they missed the opportunity to walk away with all 3 on this one. Got a pretty clear Dogso red. I mean, Dreyer was feasting basically the entirety of the second half. And it feels like San Diego right now needs the stars to align anytime that they want to score a goal. And I need them to go from stars align to once in a blue moon in terms of frequency. Because that's the only thing that seems to be holding them back at this point. Also, I think this was the first match they actually got beat on possession.
Which against Columbus isn't a surprise per se. So, on that first point about San Diego's attack, obviously they're missing Lozano, but I don't think he's a high volume goal scorer personally. Maybe earlier in his career, but I don't think that's who he is. And Ingvartsen doesn't look like a high volume goal scorer either at the moment.
No.
And so,
honestly, that's my biggest concern because Dreyer does look the part.
So Dreyer looks the part in the goal scoring department, and he does get the assist for this goal as well. But I think the creativity from Dreyer is what is missing, funnily enough, even though he puts in a beautiful. I feel like throughout this season thus far, Dreyer has had a lot of opportunities to get the final ball right on just like not I wouldn't say simple, obviously, that he's running at full speed, they're on transitions, they get in behind. And he's in that zone 14 in between the midfield and the defense, maybe on the right side, and he has the opportunity to make an impact play to get the assist. And I just feel like the quality isn't always there with Dreyer on that piece of it. And if he could just execute a little bit more in those areas, that's where I think the goals could come from. And it's hard to just put it all on one guy, but it's like right now he has to be the creative hub of this team, and apparently he has to be the goal scorer. And he's playing well this season, don't get me wrong. Like, he was great in the second half. But I just think long term he's going to need to execute a little bit more if they're going to score more than 1 goal a game. And if not, then if it is going to be a 1 goal a game, it also feels like he's the only guy who's going to get that goal off of the ball falling to him in the box, or maybe he cuts it to the left and swerves it into the bottom left corner, something like that. I could see him scoring a goal like that. But yeah, it just feels like it all rests on his shoulders right now.
It really does. And I wonder as well how much of that is, say, for instance, look at Lozano being out. Does that change the structure of San Diego to the point that now Dreyer's like, well, I was going to be able to build off of Lozano. Great, wonderful, amazing. Now Lozano's gone. Now everyone's looking at me. Ingvartsen's not the goal scorer we thought, so now I need to play more hero ball, so I'm not looking to make the pass as much. Maybe
now Lozano's gonna be back in a few weeks. Like, he literally went out, what was it, first or second match of the season? I think he's slated back.
I thought it was the first match of the season. I thought it was against Galaxy.
It might have been, yeah.
No, it was early against St. Louis. Yeah,
it was
very early against St. Louis.
That's what it was. So still, I mean, it's already been a couple weeks since then.
Yeah,
and I think they're making it work. Right, they still haven't lost a game.
Right. Now, I will say, I think I'm looking at it. Okay, they're definitely improving. Because let's look at it from like silver linings, right? 2-0 against the Galaxy on the road. Right now, you expect everyone to beat the Galaxy. So they did what's expected there. They scored 0 goals against St. Louis. No one else has scored against St. Louis. Does it look bad in that they had chances at the time? Yes. The hindsight of it is St. Louis is clearly doing something defensively that's working. And they've got Berkey in goal, who stood on his head for multiple moments of that match, which we can't rule that out. So maybe you look at that now in hindsight and say, that 0-0 is maybe more in line with what we expect for St. Louis opponents. They scored 3 on Salt Lake. We expect that to happen because we look at Salt Lake and say they're not a great team. And they score 1 on Columbus, who are a possession-heavy team. And San Diego overall has also been pretty possession-heavy. So they're not able to play their game as much as they wanted. They're limited to 1 goal. Maybe you can rationalize that it's not time to worry about the attack yet. But I do think the eye test on this is saying the results look maybe as expected. The goals were left wanting. But I'm not panicked yet, for the record. I think San Diego will be a competent team. They're gonna be a 7 to 9 spot. They're gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't see anything to panic about at the moment. I think they've been fine. I just want to see a little bit more strikery play from Ingvartsen versus, again, he looks very focused on getting that first pass and laying it off, and not necessarily making that run to get the goal. He's done it once this season, obviously he's scored, but I want to see a little bit more strikery stuff.
Yeah. What's crazy is we're talking about not panicking about San Diego. They sit in second place right now in the West.
Well, you were talking about not panicking, just to set the record straight.
Yeah.
I think they're doing just fine.
Yeah, I still think they're riding a little high, and I think there are some teams that are probably better than them over the stretch of the season that are just still figuring themselves out. So,
oh yeah, for sure, we're still early on.
We'll see.
Yep.
Yes, we are. Any correspondent corner maybe from Mike from San Diego?
No, nothing from Mike for San Diego.
Incredible.
The
man writes something for RSL, and instead leaves out his new home.
Yep. So we can move on.
Okay. We're going to hit on San Jose 1, Colorado 2. It's an interesting one, Gavin. This is an interesting one. And hear me out on this. On the face of it, go back 3-4 months. I would pick Colorado to win this. Go back 1 month ago, I'm maybe looking at San Jose to win this. Now, Colorado does win it. For the record, again, it's 2-1. But what does it say that we're looking at this like San Jose really should probably be looking to win this? Again, last year they were what? They were 5 wins last year?
6.
6? Okay. 6 wins last year.
Well, yeah, it's good. You expect competent teams to win at home in this league.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's interesting is this is a Bruce Arena-led team, right? Yeah. And so I would have expected San Jose to minimum get a draw at home. And I think it's really impressive of Colorado to go away to San Jose in 2025 and get this win. Colorado have really shocked me this season with their results. Now, I do think there's some underlines that aren't favorable for them. They are currently giving up the most shots per game in the league, with 19 shots per game against. And so how sustainable is that? I think Zach Steffen has been terrific for them. There's been some compilations of his game against San Jose and his season overall going around on the internet. And he is winning them games on his own at times. So if he can continue this form, Colorado are definitely going to be a formidable opponent. But maybe over the course of the season, this isn't sustainable to be giving up that many shots per game. So it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, this one specifically was just Colorado getting the 2 goals and Zach Steffen doing whatever he could to keep the ball out of the net.
I want to draw your attention to 2 players on Colorado who we've spoken very highly of them. And here's some numbers that I think explain why they look so good. Chido Awaziam leads the team 13 clearances, almost triple Rosenberry, who's in second place with 5.
Okay. Yep. That's insane.
Mm-hmm. Other item here. Who do you think leads the team for aerial duels?
Aerial duels.
Mm-hmm.
Duels. On Colorado?
On Colorado, yes.
Who's aerial
Not
duels?
by
It's got
aerial
to be a
duels.
center back. Is it total or is it percentage?
Total aerial duels.
Who's their other center back? Not Owazium. Who's their other? It's not Maxo still, is it?
Maxo is a center back, but they also have Ian Murphy.
Wait, we have two Ian Murphys in this league.
Ian Murphy left from FC Cincinnati to join.
Oh, I'm thinking of Ian Frey. I was like, wait, isn't Ian Murphy on Miami? No, it's Ian Frey.
Nice try, Gavin. You're treading water here, aren't you? Stalling for time.
Is it Murphy?
No, Murphy's in the top 3.
Is it Awazium? Okay, Navarro's gonna be my next pick.
At 19 aerial duels.
That's kind of crazy. That's not a center back.
That's not a center back. Second place on that team with 9 is Cabral.
Really?
Yep. Neither the leader or runner-up for number of aerial duels is a center back.
Wow, that's
and
crazy.
I think what it speaks to is where is Colorado defending? Because Colorado is winning those like midfield-ish, like middle third battles. And when your forwards, right, when your attackers are getting involved and getting in on aerial duels, and Navarro's at 48% win rate. Like, not a pushover on these aerial duels. That's disrupting a lot of teams.
Yeah, one thing you can say about Navarro is he's going to chase down every clearance from the team. So Awazium leading the team in clearances, right? Those are going out to middle of the field, and Navarro's going up, and it sounds like he's winning some of them. And I mean, he's really turning into a fantastic striker. When he first came to the league, he wasn't great. I think we can all be honest, he wasn't great. And then he showed signs of, he wasn't great to the point where Colorado were questioning whether they should keep him or not. And then he went on a hot streak, and they said, okay, we're going to stick. We're going to see if this works. We have the player, and we're going to keep him. And then he had a decent season last season. And this season, I think he's been excellent. And I think part of that has been just the goal scoring. Like it helps with the confidence. But then also he's clearly, that's a great stat that you just found. He's doing the work to help the team out, help the team get up the field, get out of the deep block, transition into the attacking phase, and then go and score some goals. And he continuously is getting on the score sheet. I think he's been huge for Colorado this season, along with Zach Steffen, who I called out. But that was the next player I wanted to call out was Navarro. So I'm glad you found that stat.
Yeah. Well, he's half their goals as well.
Yeah.
So like instrumental in the way that they play, not just in terms of scoring goals, but in how they build up and how they, receive and retain possession as well. Yeah. So it's one of those things where I'm like, Navarro's good, but like, what is it that he's doing, like, aside from goals?
There you
go. We do need to probably say something about San Jose. Here's what I have to say about San Jose. I think I might have come in really, really hot and optimistic on them. I think San Jose is still going to be a good team, but I'm going to shift them from thinking that they're like a guaranteed top 4. I think they're a playoff team, but I'm now thinking they're probably like closer to like a 4 to 7 spot.
You're so funny, Russell.
I if you can't win your matches at home, then
I'm just laughing because you're doing this and we're 4 games into the season.
We are 4 games into the season, but look, I mean, they've got a win, a loss, and then another loss at home. Like you've played 3 of your 4 matches at home. You've won only 1 of them.
Look, I'm not necessarily saying you're wrong at all.
I'm not saying you're saying that I'm wrong.
Readjust.
Yeah.
Your expectations. And to be honest, 5th, 6th, 7th, yeah, that's probably fair for them versus a home playoff spot based on what we've seen. It just depends on if Bruce Arena can strike up some magic throughout the course of the season. Got to win those home games, though. Gotta
win them. that's what separates your home playoff teams. Like, no, I don't know if there's a single home playoff team that got to a home playoff spot and was a team that you looked at and you were like, oh yeah, home playoff team. But you can't win anything at home. Like, maybe they go 50-50 at home, but I don't think there's really any teams that get into home playoff position and are winning like 10% of their home games and are road warriors. That's just not this league. All right, we are going to go to Philadelphia, Nashville.
Hey, no one saw this coming.
You're right. Not in my wildest dreams would I have seen this one coming. Like, truly, honestly, Nashville, good for you guys. Philadelphia looked like juggernauts. They looked like they were going to be the Vancouver of the East. They were going to be unstoppable. And yeah, I mean, not only did Nashville do the thing where they're like the immovable object, where teams like you get maybe one goal on Nashville, but they did the other thing where they were also the unstoppable force because they put in 3 past Philly. Which again, how many teams are scoring a bunch of goals on Philly this season? It's a good match from Nashville. Is it sustainable? Is my immediate gut reaction. I don't know if this is a one-off, but that's the way I lean.
Feels like a one-off. Although I will say Kassem has come in for Nashville and played really well. He came off the bench the first 2 games. They lost the first 2 games. He started the next 2 games. They won the next 2 games.
Coincidence?
Attacking quality leads to wins. What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to think about for Nashville over the last few seasons. So yeah, no, huge win for Nashville on the road. And I really think in the context of this game specifically, Nashville did get a little lucky. It was 2-1 when it happened, when the penalty wasn't called. And I think as much as we can praise Nashville for getting the win, that penalty gets called correctly and it's 2-2, most likely. You can never guarantee it, especially with right. With Nashville's goalkeeper. He can save some penalties, but no, 2-2, and then the momentum shifts. You never know what could have happened. Instead, they get really lucky, and they go on to win 3-1.
I would like to submit to you this. Nashville are actually very unlucky. And I think this is them course correcting because let's look at their big players. Hani Mukhtar, throughout the season, sits on 10 key passes, 17 shots, and has 1 goal. Sam Surridge, sitting on 7 key passes, 6 shots on target, 1 goal. Both these guys, like, you would expect them to be sitting on maybe like 2-3 goals each. Look at, a guy like Nahar. Nahar has 1 goal and it was like a wonder goal, right? That's a one-off goal. Sam is overperforming his XG, but like, again, look at where your key players are. They're nowhere near where the numbers say they should be doing.
Yeah,
I think this is Nashville finally getting things to break their way. Keep in mind, these 3 goals, Gavin, represent 60% of their goals for the season.
No. Yeah. I agree that they've kind of been unlucky this season just due to poor quality in the final third. They should have had more goals for sure, based on the chances created. But I think just in the context of this one game, Philadelphia should have had a penalty. And that changes everything. I agree with that for this game.
I do agree with that. I don't know if it changes everything. Again,
for Nashville, you mean? Like in the course of their season?
No. Just in the course of this game. I don't know if it changes everything, Gavin. I mean, again, I think Nashville, based on the numbers, were always poised to be able to put some score like this up. Like, the players should be scoring goals. Like
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I think it was only a matter of time before the numbers started to correct,
Okay. Okay. I don't
is
think
what
they
I'm
go
saying.
on to win the game if Philadelphia gets the penalty. That's my personal belief. But I'm not arguing to say that Nashville did anything wrong against your take. So I think Philadelphia get hard done by, and it's going to be interesting to see how both teams move on for their next matches.
Yeah, I do agree that they're hard done by. Gavin, just real quick, hey, before we talk about our final two matches, have you noticed we've had less to say about the referees this year? Are we either accepting of pro and we're just saying can't change it, they're gonna mess up, move on, don't care anymore, or are they actually getting better and or more consistent?
Yeah, I've felt that. I think I've been saying it in the background to some buddies of mine, and I think I've said it to somebody on this in our group chat that like pro has just it's felt like a better start to the season than usual. It's felt like every single week. It's felt like pretty good across the board. It hasn't felt like there's been even a need for like that instant replay show. Really, there might have been one.
This one? Or is this the one you're
Well, not 1 week, but maybe like one match a week, maybe for the first few weeks, and then this week there was a couple of like those just head scratchers where it's like logically there's zero way you don't think that's a penalty, or there's zero way you don't think that's a red card, or anything like huge like that. I think both instances this week were penalties. I think there was a controversial one in week 2 as well. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember seeing people complain about it. But yeah, I think they've been good overall. Watching, all the games that you and I watch, we haven't seen a ton of controversy across the board. Just this weekend had those big moments that everyone's pointing at and laughing and saying, "Yeah, pro's incompetent." It's been better.
That's fair. Yeah. I feel like they've been letting players play a little more aggressively.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's good and bad parts to that. Short abbreviated list of good things. One, gets players more prepared for Champions Cup refereeing, where the referees allow anything short of murder on the field. And even murder is only a talking to the first time. It's not a yellow card until maybe the second or third. But so prepare players for how other referees globally, or at least in CONCACAF, seem to call the game. Second, I think it gives a little bit more personality to the matches, get the players more invested. And then finally, if you're letting a little bit more contact play, if you're letting a little more aggression play, I think the bar for those egregious cards gets a little bit harder to cross. It's easy to be like, that was, that red card sending off because of the second yellow, like that's a soft yellow. And like when you're not giving as soft of yellows, I think that excuse goes away. And furthermore, it's like now it's like, okay, that's definitely a yellow on that first one. Like no one's sitting on like a ticky tacky yellow the first time and then they commit a bad foul. And it's like, well, yes, that was a yellow, but the first one's not a yellow. Like he shouldn't be off. He should be on a yellow final warning. Like when players get two good yellows, it takes the ref out of the spotlight.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there. I think it has been a little bit more aggressive, and I think that's been okay.
Yeah. It's been frustrating as heck as a fan. Because like
Yeah.
you watched your guy like get borderline mugged out there and you're like, come on, that's a foul. And every other year that's a foul. This year, not a foul. But as long as they're calling it not a foul on both sides, I can live with it.
I think for the most part they have been.
Yeah, which is why I can live with it.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm not the one on the receiving end of any of these fouls. Like I'm sitting up in the stands, with my hot chocolate in -1 degree Celsius or like, 32 Fahrenheit weather, bundled up under like, a hat and gloves and, sitting there drinking something warm and being like, come on, ref. Like, I'm not down there putting my body on the line. It's easy for me to say that.
Right. Yeah.
So, okay, Gavin, taking us back on topic. We got to get these last two matches out of the way before we can wrap up for the night. Portland, LA, I'm going to go ahead and say I don't actually have nearly as much to talk about on this one because I haven't been excited by either of these teams. And also Atlanta, Miami is next, and it kind of blew this one out of the water in terms of watching soccer on a Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, the only takeaway from this game was the other referee incident. Is Portland should have had a penalty at the end of the match, and I think everyone who has ever played the sport or watched the sport or ref the sport thinks it's a penalty, except for the referee and the refereeing crew in this one particular match somehow. I mean, I think it was Garces slides. I mean, even his studs are showing and doesn't touch the ball at all. Yeah, sure, advantage is played, I guess, but I think with the referee, it's just to see, like, you just wait that split second to see if it's going to go in so you don't stop a goal. But, like, you still blow for the penalty. Instead, he calls for a corner, which I don't even think there was a save, if I remember correctly. I don't remember if it was blocked. I think he just misses. And it was one of those where the ref is like, corner. I don't know. Like, he just had a lot going on. And he didn't call for the penalty in real time. And I can't believe VAR didn't call it back for a penalty. I think it's a total failure from the center ref. It's an even worse failure to look at that on the video and say, that's not a complete and obvious error. Bring him over to the monitor, have him look at it a second time, and point to the spot, and give Portland the deserved penalty. It's a foul all day long. I think it's a terrible call from the refs, and it robs Portland of a win at home against the Galaxy. So, really disappointing. Really, really disappointing.
Well, gotta tell you, Gavin, the camera on my feed just cut out as well. So I don't know if you see that.
I see it. Yeah. I didn't know if you disappeared or if
here's the thing. You don't see it is what it is. You don't see the camera.
Well, I see the lack of camera. I didn't know if if your Wi-Fi went out and
no,
literally dropped off, or if it was just the camera died.
Just the camera died. But luckily, Gavin, I don't know if you knew this, but as a podcast in an audio-only format, this doesn't. No one else would know this if we didn't bring it up just now. But
hey,
we're bringing it up.
We
right
posted
now
on YouTube. People will see that you are not there.
They won't see. Yeah, they will not see. They absolutely will not see. All right, Gavin, let's wrap it up. It's final match, Sunday Night Soccer, marquee match, Atlanta, Miami. I stayed far away from this one. I would have picked Miami. I did send that to Bryce in our weekly picks, but I stayed far away from this one in terms of betting, and my heart thanks me for doing so because this was a really fun match to watch.
Yeah, this was a fun one, for sure. Crazy back and
Which
forth.
Which means it was not fun for if you had money on the line.
No, absolutely not. No, Atlanta started strong. They get the goal. Latte Loth jumping up real high. Brooks Lennon putting in the crosses. There was the offside goal. I mean, this match just had everything, right? Guzan making key saves against Messi. Messi getting the goal. Messi picking up an injury. Just like literally anything you could want in this game.
I swear, Messi is he's never going to get a full season in MLS.
We'll see how long this one is. I mean, what is a full season?
Another 2 weeks.
What is a full season for someone of Messi's age and the minutes in his legs? Mm-hmm. I'll say, like, it can't be over
under 22 matches.
Well, I would say a full season's over 22 matches. Yeah.
Okay. You think he's going to play over 22 matches?
Okay, let me take that back. I define a full season as probably close to like 26, 27 matches, right? You have games where you rotate out, you have some games where you're injured.
Like 75% of your matches.
Yeah, that's a good number. That's a good number. So 22. Do I think Messi will play in over 22 matches? Yes.
Okay. If you are listening to this, then just know as a listener that Gavin's guaranteeing Messi plays in at least 22 regular season matches this year. For the record, he's played 2 for the stats.
Now listen, they have a long season. We talked about it before the season. Like, they are definitely managing him, even like load management for sure. Now he's got an actual injury, so it'll be interesting to see how they manage this situation. But they need him in the biggest games. They need him ready for the biggest games so he can get them to win a trophy, because that's what they need with Messi. They want to lift another trophy with him. They can't just have that Leagues Cup and the Supporters Shield.
How many trophies does Miami need to win this year so they can say...
They need a big one.
But do you think it's just a single big trophy, or does Miami need to do like 2 trophies this year?
I think they either need the Champions Cup or they need MLS Cup. I think in the eyes of the watching world, that is what they need to say that this was a success. I don't think breaking the points record in the Supporters Shield is enough for people. I think the Supporters Shield is a really important trophy. I think it's a big trophy, but I don't think that everyone feels that way. So I think they need Champions Cup or MLS Cup.
That's fair. That's fair. I think they need to get 3 trophies while Messi's here.
They've got 2 technically.
Yeah. What does the watching world think? Does the watching world care about Supporters Shield?
Oh, they don't care about Leagues Cup either.
No. Then they've got 0.
All right. They need the treble this year. I think they would count the Supporters Shield as 1 only because it's the league, but I don't know.
Other leagues do the playoffs too, though. Liga MX does a playoff system. Come on. The English Football League does a playoff system for like promotion to the upper leagues as well. Yeah. Like, playoff systems are not totally foreign. You know, people recognize what they are, what they mean.
What else do you have on this game?
I had a lot, but honestly, Gavin, I'm starting to blank because we've been recording for almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
How is it, Gavin, that we have fewer people on this episode than any other one that we have done this season, and this is the longest recording we have done?
What happened? I feel like we flew through some of the matches. I don't get it.
We did fly through some of the matches. I was like, we went through like the first 3 topics, and I was like, man, this is gonna be a quick episode. It's gonna be like an hour long.
Whatever. Hey, if you guys didn't see it, go watch the Atlanta versus Miami match, because it was action packed, end to end. Mm-hmm. Both teams had chances. 2-1 win from the away team. Late drama. Just go watch it.
Yeah, go have fun with it.
Peak analysis.
Yeah, peak analysis. So, 22 men kicked ball around on field was fun.
I guess we ended there.
Yeah, end it there. 2 podcasters talk about 22 men kicking ball around on field was good listen. Hey, if you want to listen to more of the podcast, remember you can find us on social media at MLS Now Podcast. We post some videos on Instagram and post some thoughts, and sometimes David even tweets on Twitter, and you can tell when it's him because usually they're the ones that you disagree with the most as a person on social media. So feel free to follow us there. And just a reminder as well, you can find Gavin on social media at Lions Blog 1. You can find me on social media at Mr. Danger Russ. Gavin, I'm done. Let's call it a night.
Yeah, me too, man. This was a fun one though. Till next time.
It was a long one. All right. Hey, Gavin, listeners, as always, thank you. Until next time.